What is the fastest way to fix your ads, your funnel, and your offers? What if it is just talking to your customers? That's what we're diving into today. We're going into Hormozi's tip number 8. Talk to customers to solve all of your problems.
Yeah. A huge revelation, right? Oh my goodness, talk to the people who buy your product.
What?
But, right, you'd be so surprised at how many people like just some entrepreneurs are super fearful of this. So, why we're going to dig in deeper to why you might be one of those entrepreneurs who just really try to avoid talking directly to your customers. Why is that the case? And how to help you overcome that, and how actually talking to your customers and your clients you're able to solve the problems other than just simply testing or guessing, because at that point you're just making things up of why your clients or customers aren't getting success or aren't buying, and what is the right way to gather and use feedback across the different customer types. And I would even add in across your actual, like the way that you want to do business as a coach or as a mentor, or as an entrepreneur. So we're going to dive a little deeper into that. And we're going to show you how we help our clients use their customer feedback, their conversations to improve your messaging, to refine your offers and your pricing if needed. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't, based on what you gather, in order to overall, right, increase the average order value, increase retention, increase testimonials, increase referrals. And we'll show you how we talk through how you can get a super aligned client, right, versus clients who just come in or customers who come in and cancel. If that's you, then there's definitely a problem with all of the things I just shared, and how both of these conversations, no matter what comes from them, you're going to be able to learn and grow your business into that seven-figure machine that you're most likely looking to achieve.
Yes. I actually am like slightly obsessed with this topic and this tip specifically. And I feel like I could spend the next 4 hours here with you, Judy, just like dissecting all of the different parts that you just alluded to. And so I'm going to let you know there's going to be a million gold nuggets throughout all of this, because it can completely and totally transform your business. And specifically, to start right now, we're going to talk about how customer language sharpens your marketing. And we all need to be marketing experts as entrepreneurs, as business owners, because if we aren't able to get clients, AKA market to them and then sell them, we will not have successful businesses. So here's the funny part. You don't need better copy. You don't need to pay a copywriter. You don't have to know all of the right prompts to put in ChatGPT. You just need to be having better conversations with your potential customers or your current customers. I should say and your current customers. So a really concrete example of this is we worked with a client who thought that time freedom would really resonate with her audience. She had been using time freedom in a wide variety of her marketing efforts, both organically and paid, prior to working with us. She even had it embedded into one of her programs. But here's the thing. We pushed her to get onto sales calls and coffee chats to talk more in depth with what the pain points of her potential clients were. And nobody talked about time freedom. They were all at the level of feeling like they were scattered, that they didn't know where to start. So they weren't far enough on the journey to time freedom. Time freedom was like a pipe dream, right? Like they were 15 steps away from time freedom. And so while she thought that that was ultimately what they wanted, and it probably was, it wasn't resonating. So we had to pull back the language. We swapped the copy. We started to talk more about stop feeling scattered. We talked about putting the foundational elements in place to experience time freedom in the future. And her ads started converting at a much higher rate. So if you heard nothing from what I just talked about, I want you to understand that potential customers and customers are going to give you the exact words you need to use to sell them. You just have to be willing to listen.
Yeah, 100%. And Greta, I like that you said like be willing and open to listen at the time. I think a lot of times coaches will come to us and they'll be like, I don't have the time. And it's like, you can't afford not to make the time to talk to your customers. They're already like, think about how long it took you to get that customer, get that client, get that, even if it's a coffee chat, get that lead to book with you, and you have them. So now utilize the most, right? It's like squeeze the most that you can out of this lead to get the information that you need to change whatever it is in your business that's necessary. And you may find that like what they tell you, and this is why, Greta, like you mentioned, like have multiple of them, because like the first one's probably you're not gonna be in alignment with, or you're not gonna get. You're kind of practicing during that first one of getting the information out, because it's not gonna be supernatural to you if you haven't done these coffee chats before. And that's one great thing that we walk you through when you're in our Simplicity ad system and you're in, and we're like, hey, wait, you shouldn't run ads yet. Let's go back and let's have you have conversations and ask your audience and send a text message and ask them, do a story, get on coffee chats to see what's missing. Why are they going to your competitor versus you? What's missing in your messaging? So just want to point that out, because I know a lot of people are like, what? I have to get on more coffee chats? And they don't have to be super long. A lot of people are like, oh, I have to get on like 30 minutes. Like, no, they do not have to be 30-minute coffee chats to gather any of this information. So that kind of brings to Greta knowing, like adding on to during those coffee chats and even clients that are in your journey. So let's talk about both, right? Your clients know what they want. You just kind of have to get it out of them for them to tell you. And they're not super comfortable with telling you a lot of times, especially for our clients who run like baby evergreen programs or a big mastermind program offer, for example. It's kind of weird when you're on a group call to kind of be like, hey guys, tell me what it is that you want. And that's kind of what one of our clients was running into. He had a brand new mastermind that he did, $10,000 offer, 6 months with him, had a great guarantee of, you'll 10x whatever your investment is. But they weren't actually doing all of the things and getting success, so he thought. So what we asked him to do was, hey, people don't feel as vulnerable to share because they feel like they might be like saying negative things about you, and they usually respect you, which is a good thing because they usually respect you as a coach, as a mentor, if they're not saying those things in front of the group. So yay, they're a right fit for your program, right? This is the ideal client. So why don't you add in a few office hours or one-off coaching sessions to really dial in and see what are they most enjoying about the program? What's unique about yours? What have they implemented so far that's got them a lot of traction? Because sometimes people don't like to talk about their wins. They feel like it's bragging. Think about it psychologically. We're not told to brag. We're told to listen to other people. We're told, especially like we're told to be quiet in some, like families and things like that and cultures. So like, go back and ask them what those is, and they are in a more vulnerable state to be transparent, right? When you're in that one-off conversation, and have those questions primed, but also talk to them as if they're a human. Hey Greta, how's the program going for? You've been in here for 4 weeks so far. I've seen, changes in you and your business. What has been the biggest change for you so far? How is this program different than other ones that you have done? And then go into almost as if you're getting a testimonial, but again, you really want to be super curious about your client. Okay, so make this all about them. You, though, are going to get so much information, and then you're going to plug that transcript into ChatGPT and be like, what are all the things that I should change or add in my program? And one thing that he got out of the consistent office hours, as he did them for a couple weeks, and he usually has about 10 members in his program at a time, is that they wanted a community outside of Slack. And then once he developed that community outside of Slack, they were more open to then sharing. They just weren't super familiar with Slack. That wasn't a new thing to them. Like some of them were brick and mortar companies. Like Slack was like not a thing. They didn't even know what a Slack app was, right? And then once they did that, they started sharing way more wins, and he's able to use those now to continue to sell his program, right? So, your ideal clients, if they're showing up, they want to give you feedback and they're able to like do it in a way to allow them to do it for themselves. So, usually I would add in various ways for them to give you feedback because you don't know the type of client how they want to give you feedback. So some are office hours, some are simply a Google form, some like to give you like a video, like even asking for a testimonial for somebody who has a quick win will even sometimes give you feedback of things to change. So start doing that because they'll tell you what they want. And they told him, hey, we want something outside of Slack because it's not working for us. And that was kind of clear across the board. And they were able to say that openly during the office hours.
For sure. One thing that I love that you just touched on, Judy, is that the best coaches are not afraid to hear feedback, both positive and negative, and implement change in their programs. When we are developing coaching programs, at least in the beginning stages, which is something that Judy and I get to experience quite often with the services that we provide, we are in some ways guessing what it is that the audience needs. And we know that there's a specific path they have to follow, but I will tell you that 9 times out of 10, a coach is going to try to shove too much into 6 weeks because they want to provide value, right? But then it's your job to start to pare back and see what's actually working. And so our next point is a lot of times your most painful feedback is going to be the most valuable. So when somebody wants to cancel, we want to do our best to get on a call with them and talk through why this is no longer a fit. Because at some point they said yes to you, they said yes to your program, they said yes to your course or your offer. And oftentimes, it is your responsibility to make tweaks to the program so that in the future it will serve more people like them, or it ultimately serves them, because sometimes it's that they just didn't understand how to use the resource that you had provided. So we had an individual in a 15K mastermind program who had opted in. He sent both an email and a text message basically saying he wanted out. The program wasn't what he had anticipated it would be. And so instead of like fighting, instead of, immediately saying no, because actually that went against our clause in our contract, I said, hey, absolutely, I will honor that if you'll get on a quick call with me and let's talk through this, right? And one of the things that I quickly realized is that he was overwhelmed by the sheer volume of information that he was able to implement for the program. And I pared it back and said, but what if you just focused on this? Can you focus on this one part of the program for the next 2 weeks? And then let's talk, and I will honor the cancellation if at that point you still feel like you aren't getting what you need from this program. And the thing is that I was able to have an honest conversation with him, not only about how to get him back on the right path, but I also listened to what he said of like, hey, you guys are putting a lot of information out to me right away. And so not only did I get him back on track, but we immediately came together as a team and said, hey, if he's feeling it, surely other people are feeling it. How can we streamline this process and get some activation points put in place so that people don't feel that immediate overwhelm? Now, you might be surprised, he did not end up canceling. In fact, he, at the end of the 6 months, stated that it was one of the most life-changing programs that he has participated in. And he is one of the people who refers to us most often. What would have happened if I had just let him cancel, or I had argued with him about how he couldn't get a refund and I wasn't willing to hear his concerns? And the process was forever changed. We streamlined our onboarding process. We added an onboarding call. We did a million things based on that conversation and some other conversations that we have. So I want you to hear that listening turns refunds into retention, and it fixes gaps in your program faster than you guessing what it is people need to get results.
Yeah, absolutely. And Greta, I love like the story. You guys probably have a story. You probably have a story that you can relate to of someone like this. And there's always two ways it can come out of it, right? They will refund and then, speak poorly of you because their program didn't work for them and continue on their path that they were on before they joined your program, or you'll be able to retain them and they'll be a raving fan for you forever, right? Like this person is a raving fan for this coach now. And so a lot of it, if you're a coach on here and you're like, I really am like, I want to dodge every refund conversation ever. By the way, you don't have very many. You shouldn't have very many of these conversations.
No, you shouldn't have very many.
Like, so by the way, we get like, 1 out of like 50 or something like that. Like there's not very many at all. And then you're not confident in your product and ability to be a coach. So I would definitely challenge you to go back and think about those conversations that you're avoiding, because it's the same thing that this person who wanted a refund was avoiding. He was trying to find the easy way out, and it hadn't worked for him in the past. So when Greta was having those conversations, it's a lot of that psychological piece of, hey, what's going to happen if you don't? Or what's the worst that could happen if you just tried it out for a couple more weeks and just focused on this one thing, right? So really think about that and think about those conversations that you're going to have next. And again, they'll be like your most raving fans. So I really like that you talked about that. And again, if you're trying to avoid these, get on a call with them, find out what, honestly, for me, like what is the worst that could happen for you as a coach if you do get on a conversation and have that, right? And it's never to like not give some, like if you feel like this is not the program for them, like then it's like, okay, shouldn't have been sold anyway. And you have to go back to even like the drawing board of, okay, what's the qualification process for, closing a client, right? And what am I telling them? Because it should be an aligned expectation. So next time when we meet, we're going to go over actually what I just talked about, which is the sales, the sales component of getting these ideal clients and leads into your world, into your offer, right? Into, your funnel. And we're going to talk about Alex Hormozi's closer framework to guide your sales calls, right? And if you don't know what that closer framework is, we're going to talk about it next week and you're going to see it. And we'll explain it step by step on how you can implement them in your business in any part. And yes, even if you don't do a sales call, we're going to talk about that for those people who don't. But of course, we preach that you should do a sales call.
At least in the beginning.
Yeah, but we'll see you next week.